Welcome to another episode of Legislative Matters Now with M&M. I'm Morgan Spicer, Special Projects Coordinator for the ARC of the Mid-Ohio Valley. Now, this month we're going to be doing a little something different. Normally we would have a legislator and an advocate in action, but this month we are going to check out the history of People First. Now, this is a session that was done with our Self-Advocate Coordinator, Melissa Southall, and Kevin Smith, our previous Self-Advocate Coordinator, as he talks about his journey through advocacy and speaking up for himself. So we encourage you to watch and take a few things out of it. Hopefully you do. So without any further ado, let's get to the history of People First with Melissa Southall and Kevin Smith.
People First of West Virginia will hold its 30th annual statewide conference in September of 2023. Leading up to that conference is this program, The History of People First in West Virginia, with your host, Melissa Southall, and her guest, Kevin Smith.
Thank you for joining us today, Kevin. How did you become aware of People First, and what got you into the program?
Well, the art director, Joan Arnold, called me and wanted to know if I wanted to go to Tennessee. I thought, well, yeah, I don't have anything to do this weekend. I might meet Johnny Cash. But what I did meet is changed my life so much that I can't begin to tell you in just a few words. I learned that I had rights, how to go about exercising my rights, and be nice about it. And that's the key part of having rights, knowing your rights, and being nice about it. You have to learn where to be assertive and always know what you want and know how you are going to go about getting your rights.
Thank you for being a part of the first segment and our history on People First.
It's my pleasure to go back in time to let people know what some of us went through to bring self-advocacy to West Virginia.
So in the last segment, you told us about going to Tennessee and to the convention. What did you learn there and bring back here to West Virginia?
I learned about my rights and how to work with people to get what I need in my life. And the experience was overwhelming, as you well know in your job.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot people out there that needs to know daily that they have a right to go and do what, if they need something, they have the right to speak up and get what they need.
So what you learned, how did you bring it back to West Virginia to start the People First group here in?
How I brought it back? Well, the AmeriCorps person that went with us, Mary Trimble, she didn't tell the four of us that we had to present the Developmental Disability Council, and I cheated a little bit. I took a tape recorder, one of them old-fashioned cassettes. And I taped all the classes that I was in. And when I got home, I crammed like I was in college. So when time came to give tell what we learned, the other 3 people that went, they did not have too much to say. The mic came over to me, and I just carried it out the door. And Joan Arnold said right then, "Kevin, do you need a job?" I was working at SW Resources making $1.25 an hour. And when Joan said 3 something an hour, I said, "Yeah, I'll take it."
So when you started, how has it helped other self-advocates in West Virginia?
Well, we started People First, and we started groups around the state. And one of the main things that we talked about is our rights and our responsibilities. I cannot do a segment without bringing out the rights and responsibility. For every right that you have, you've got a responsibility for that right. And one of my responsibilities, bringing it back, was to share with the DD Council what I learned and what it meant to go to the hotel in Tennessee and, to meet other self-advocates and have them to tell me that they have a life like marriage, like a car, like a house. How do you do all that? Well, one piece at a time. I got my first job with the ARC and just kept on building.
So one of the things that People First does, we take people to Charleston to help them learn how to advocate.
Disability Advocacy Days. We all went down, and home of our own is what one theme was. We passed out coffee cups with pictures of house on it, and it says home of your own. Lot of people came out of institutions with nowhere to call home. And we tried to make legislatures aware of the need for us to be treated just like everybody else. So we passed out coffee cups with the "No Place Like Home." One of the things with People First that I learned And I'm still learning that when you have a problem, the situation is you learn what you need and just overall be there for educate the lawmakers what you need. We needed a bill so that people didn't have to go home, take a pill. We People First of West Virginia met with their lawmakers, and we advocated strongly that we could have a staff give us our pills if we needed it out in public. I mean, be discreet about it, but we can have our medication given at a theater. So that's one of the things that going to Charleston with People First has done.
The next question I have for you is talk about your journey to living independently.
My journey to living independently was started, before I found out about People First. But People First has helped other people get their own apartment, and I remember one of the self-advocates, she always lived in a group home, and she got able to move into her own apartment, and that changed her life so much, just having her own place.
That's just another example of how People First helps people learn to live in their own community.
Right.
So one of the things that People First teaches us is to tell about our stories. Why is it good to tell about our stories?
Melissa, it's good to tell your story. You don't know who you're going to help by telling your story, especially a lawmaker or your next door neighbor. You don't know who you're going to help have a better life, because living independently and telling your story, I've told my story to Obama. I've met Obama. I've advocated for change as much as home of your own. Able, I've been involved on many things, and telling my story has been the key to from passing out coffee cups at down in Charleston to our lawmakers. And if you don't tell your story, how does people know what you've been through?
So telling your stories is just not limited to lawmakers. It's good to tell people in stores or wherever you meet people.
Yes, be a reference to anybody you meet. Be willing to sit down and help people.
So do you just tell your story once, or do you tell it more than once? How often should you tell your story to different people?
Well, Melissa, I'm 69 years old, and I'm telling my story every day, because new staff comes in every once in a while. You've got to help them understand that it's not a babysitting job, that you've got a life and what you want out of your life. And I also want to mention, I just got a new staff, and let me tell you, he's learning about me, and I'm learning about him. But the neat thing is, he treats me as equal as he is. If I want to go somewhere, I've got my own vehicle. He says, let's go. He does not give me any reason why not.
So, Kevin, it's all about relationship building.
Yes. You've got to build that personal relationship with people.
So talk about the Ken Irvin bill and what you did to advocate for the bill.
Well, Ken Irvin bill was to get AMAPs approved, and so people wouldn't have to, a nurse wouldn't have to trace down people at the mall to give them their new meds. And Ken, he was a fantastic advocate. He was a rebel, and he believed in chaining himself to flagpole. He believed in the harm advocacy, but I always was quiet and meek and done the softer side of self-advocacy, but Ken was a great advocate. He wrote the bill and got it passed. We got it passed the second year.
So, Kevin, you had a part in adding to the Ken Irvin bill. Tell us about that.
We went down as self-advocates, softer side of advocacy, and we sat down and told the lawmakers how important to be out in public it was, and we needed the AMAPs to be able to stay statewide, because people didn't need to go home at noon to take one pill, and you couldn't go to a movie without being interrupted by, oh, gotta get home for meds. Second thing of that bill was the inhaler. The person with you could hand you the inhaler and make sure that you were able to take it and get you over your flare-up, and didn't have to call a nurse and didn't have to call an ambulance just to get a inhaler handed to you.
So you don't always get what you want the first time around.
No, you gotta work at it and get lawmakers to sign on to the bill, and more people that you can get signed on to that bill, more weight that the bill has.
So talk about the importance of self-advocates and speaking up.
Well, if you don't speak up, nothing can change in your life. I mean, I had a problem. Across from my house is a park, and there was a dead tree that needed cut, and I took pictures of it, and I called the city council and called the mayor, and at last I wrote a letter and told them how important electric was to my daily life. My adjustable bed works with electric. My chair works with electric. My lift chair works with electric. And do you know, I got that tree cut. It's important to, if you want to make change in your life, you've got to speak up and tell what you need.
So, Kevin, can you tell us what you've always told us? If you're not
at the table, you're on the menu. And that just means if you don't speak up and tell people what you want, in some of these people's lives, there's a training regiment that they create, and some people sits there and says, well, I don't have anything to say. And then they have to write programs to get funding so you can live independently. And if you're not at the table speaking up about what you want, you may have to do something you don't want to do.
So that's just another thing that we learn in People First.
That's right.
Talk about how you got your van and use your self-advocacy skills to do so.
Well, I got the job with the ARC as People First coordinator. And my job was taking me all over West Virginia. And I was walking on crutches and everything. I could jump in a car, but my health went down, and I needed the chair to make more faster and better mobility for me. Well, I did because there's hardly any bus service in West Virginia. So my job, I couldn't depend on public transportation, so I went to DRS, which is rehabilitation, and they were buying vans at the time for people, and I ended up with a new van. And I literally wore it out doing my job.
But Kevin, you don't even drive.
Well, I don't drive, but I sure got the insurance and maintenance.
You have rights and responsibilities with your van, and could you tell us about those rights and responsibilities?
The right to have a van, I've got to keep it safe on the road, and I've got to pay insurance, and I've got to keep the maintenance up. And as you well know, because you've got a vehicle, that you've got insurance and all the good stuff to go with it. My staff, I wish my staff would gas it up once in a while. That is not going to happen.
In a previous segment, Kevin, you talked about only making 25 cents an hour. So when you got your job at the Ark, how did it feel to get a real paycheck?
It felt fantastic because most people in my situation don't ever get a real paycheck. And how that came about, how job coaches came about, was we went down Charleston again and talked to the legislature. We passed out payday candy bars with the message, "We want our own payday."
When you went and passed out those payday candy bars, did it pass the first time? Or did it take a while?
It took a couple years. We had to work on the bill. We had to change stuff in the bill and stuff like that. And, you know, a bill don't become a law in the first try. Usually it takes 2 or 3 tries. But, you know, when I got my first paycheck, I thought I had really done something. And even today, getting my retirement, I feel that I've worked for it, and it's a great feeling when you have to pay taxes. Most people hate to see April 15th, but the first year that I paid taxes was great. But I'll tell you, I'm like everybody else now. I hate to see April 15th come.
Talk about the places that you visited to spread the word about self-advocacy.
I've been to New Orleans, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Washington, and all places in between. My situation was great to do that, but one of the most rewarding things that I've done was being able to talk to the mayor about getting a tree cut. That's small. It's self-advocacy is about everyday life, and most of you may never go where I've been, but you can sure make a difference in your own community by attending People First get-togethers, meetings, and everything. Don't forget that the funds that you give for People First depends on the groups getting their sheets in to Melissa.
Yep. Their activity sheets.
Activity sheets. If there's any activities out there, should be turned in to Melissa, because, one of these days the money could dry up.
So we've been talking about the last 30 years of People First. Is there anything that you would like to add, or anything that you would like to see take place in the next 30 years of People First?
I would like to see People First continue for another 30 years. It's great. I never thought I would be taking part in 30 years of celebration of People First. When I started, I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't know what I'm doing.
Is there any one specific thing that you would like to see happen?
What I would like to see all the groups reach out and change their own communities. Some of the things that some of our people have done, one city, they fought for curb cuts, and they're slowly getting curb cuts on every street corner. And some people has done, got their own homes and everything. We've got a gentleman that's 85 years old that has his own home. And the oldest and longest person that I know in People First, he's still at it, telling his staff what he wants. And that's what it is about.
Thank you, Kevin. We really appreciate you talking to us.